You would absolutely love to hitchhike for the first time, but you are kind of scared to meet a serial killer who will cut you in pieces with the chainsaw he carries on his backseat. Oh well, sorry to disappoint you, but the chances that such a scenario happens are close to zero. But there are some actual risks that you might face, and today we are going to see how we can reduce them. Adventure had been calling me for a long time, but I've always preferred to hide behind books and movies. Until the day I left the comfort of my daydreaming and discovered a world of limitless possibilities right at my fingertips. Everything around me turned into an open playground. Every stranger I met was a fresh new story waiting to be discovered, and my life quickly became one of my favorite movies. After hitchhiking over 100,000 kilometers, I'm now here to share my best tips and insights, because today it's your turn for an adventure. What's the real number one danger of hitchhiking? Traffic accident. And guess what? I still haven't been in one, but I got kinda close twice. First time was because of a stressed out Polish grandpa, and second time because of a distracted old lady who was too busy telling me about her grandson to notice the traffic jam starting in front of us. Luckily, about 2 seconds before the crash, she somehow had ninja reflexes and swerved to the side, and we didn't die. But a friend of mine had an accident because of an Italian guy who wanted to impress his girlfriend by driving way too fast. I'm not sure it was a very effective seduction strategy, but it was definitely effective at crashing into the fences on the side of the highway. Thankfully, my friend survived. And let's be honest, it was really tricky for him to anticipate this. You cannot really guess someone's driving style just by the looks. But there are a few ways to reduce the risk. Alcohol or drugs improve the risk of accident, and more people would consume it by night and then drive. After a party, for example. So avoid hitchhiking by night as much as possible. And if you really have to, do it in a place with light and try to have a yellow safety vest with you. In a way, we simply come back to the basics I shared in my tutorial about passive hitchhiking. You must be in a place where you are visible and where cars are going slowly to avoid any bad situation where you get smashed by a car. And of course, when you are in a car, fasten your seatbelt. And this is true at night, but during day too. Because bad experiences can also happen during daytime. So let's see what could be some red flags. The person who stops for you had an aggressive driving style. Unnecessary acceleration, for example. When they lower the window, you can smell or see some drugs or alcohols. You see the person and you just don't feel it. I mean, sometimes it's good to trust your intuition. In this situation, you have several ways to refuse a ride. If you didn't have a sign, you can ask the person's direction and then say that it's not what you're looking for or that you go in another direction. If you are using a sign, unless the person goes exactly where you wrote you're going, you can still say that his or her proposition isn't what you need and you'd rather wait for someone who can drive you directly to your destination. If the person goes to your destination and you don't want to get inside, you still have honesty, and you can say that you don't feel safe getting in his or her car. If you are a woman, you can still say that you only accept rides from another woman. But if the driver is a weird woman, then go back to saying you don't feel safe. Well, that would be all for refusing a ride, but to be honest, I never experienced such a situation. Thanks to active hitchhiking, I can actually choose my driver. I just look at people around and then I choose who I will talk with. But I must acknowledge that on days where you don't have a lot of options, you might end up asking anyone, including the people who might look a little bit weird, but sometimes it's just an impression. Once I was in this situation while living Dresden in Germany, and I had to ask a guy who looked like this. I didn't really feel comfortable at first, but he was just a lot into metal music, he was also really nice, and could drive me 200 kilometers in the direction of Frankfurt. So, danke schön, bro.
Once more, I've been in more than 1,000 vehicles and I never felt that my driver had any bad intention towards me. I must acknowledge that being a guy probably helps, but I also know many women who went on solo hitchhiking trips, and I will interview as many as I can so they can share their experiences, their thoughts and their advice.
But right now, I'll share some tips I heard to reduce aggression risk. Let's start with one you can do before getting in. You can take a picture of the license plate, openly or discreetly, and then send it to a friend. Also, sending the name of your driver and some other infos can be a good idea.
Once you're in the car, here's what you can do. Keep an eye on the GPS. Try to notice any weird change of itinerary. And also you can use a technique inspired from the Pygmalion effect. Basically, you will apply the label of safe person on your driver, and this way he'll be more likely to conform to your expectations. So you can say something like, thanks a lot for helping me. I don't always feel safe about getting into strangers' car. You know, you never know who you're going to meet nowadays. But with you, I do feel safe. Of course, you can be more subtle than me, but you got the idea.
Also have in mind that many drivers will have a protective attitude towards you. It's funny, but when I was starting to hitchhike, I was helped by many people who had the age of my parents and who will always tell me, yeah, you could be my son. I'm going to help you.
But if you feel like your driver has other intentions than helping you,
here's what you can do. Farting can be a good idea, so you diminish the desire of the person to spend time with you. Second, you can pretend that you want to puke, because this is a good pretext to ask the driver to stop the car and then to stay where the person drops you. You can be like,
oh man, this is so nice to help me, but I can keep going further right now. Keep going on your way and let me puke alone. I'm too shy to puke in public.
And if it's quite clear that the person has bad intentions,
your first card to play is assertivity. So you stay calm and you make sure that the person understands that their behavior is making you feel uncomfortable and that they should stop right now. And if the situation really gets out of control, contact the police or your emergency contact if you can.
if you have to get out of the car, be sure to do it when the car is stopped or very slow, because once more, an accident might ruin your life. You don't want to spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair. Other thing, if you have to get out, be sure to do it quickly so you benefit of the surprise effect. Surprise! 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 And yeah, about your belongings, it's better if you have them close to you before leaving. So I forgot my backpack. I should have thought about it. Sorry.
This is why you should always have with you a secret pocket where you keep your identity documents and some money.
I wish I could say more about this topic, but once again, I've never felt threatened by any of my drivers. So all the tips I just shared come from articles I read or stories I heard. But there is still one very important advice I can share, and it's probably one of the best to follow.
Travel with a partner you trust. It feels safer if you are two. And with a friend being here, you'll even be able to take some naps if you are tired. Bonus tip to prevent robberies: when you get out of the car, never close your door before getting your belongings back, especially if your backpack is in the trunk. If your door is open, it prevents the risk that your driver leaves you too quickly.
This would be my main advice about safety. But once more, I almost never had to do any of this. You know, I don't really think that hitchhiking is more dangerous than any other practice. If you think about it, a plane might crash, you might get attacked anywhere, I mean, just because you were walking at night. So, bad situations, accidents, aggressions, it's mostly about being at the wrong place at the wrong moment. It's about bad luck, and sadly that's life.
But hopefully, if you hitchhike well, you will mostly experience being at the right place at the right moment. And remember that you mostly encounter amazing persons. Once more, the possibilities hitchhiking open are huge. You'll make new friends, discover new places,
sometimes get invited to your driver's home and share some delicious dinner. Maybe the real danger is to live without experiencing all the magic life has to offer.
If you like this video, be sure to leave a thumb up, subscribe and watch my other videos.
If you want to go further, I'd suggest that you watch my video about traveling in pair, as having someone with you is still one of the best ways to feel safe while getting started. And don't forget to have a look at the interviews. Well, thanks a lot for watching and see you on the road.